All right, again, we're all set up here. We got our little guard over the top, so we shouldn't be able to get our fingers in there, and I think we're ready to go. This is the little back piece that goes up against the wall, so we only need to route one corner. So I'm going to go ahead and choose my corner, put an X on it. We know that that X then will go down towards the table and against the fence, okay? So X goes down and towards the fence. We'll start up the router and run the piece through. That's what I want to look like, just a nice smooth radius here. Now on the other one we got to do on the, what is it, letter B, we're going to go around and do all the edges except for the back. So again, we'll mark all of our edges, and then that we're going to actually cut, and then we'll cut them. So I'll go grab my piece and we'll get those marked up, and away we go. Okay. Now notice this is our back here. So this is the side, we've already determined which side is our back. So it's the side that you want to have at 2 1/4. See that right there? So that's at 2 1/4, so we know this is the back. And you could put an X on the back if you want, or call it back, just write back on the back of it, like so. And we know that the other sides are the ones that are going to get done. That's, I was just kind of going at it, and I just happened to think that I should probably tell you about it. So we have X's here, here, and here. And on the opposite side, we're going to do the same thing. You got to keep in mind too that there's a lot of router bits out there. We can do, there's a lot of router bit contours we can do on these things. That, you know, I only have a 1/4 round right now. A 1/4 inch, it's the most versatile, and the sharpest, it says sharpest line is very durable cutter. That's why I bought that one for the school. But there's ogies and all sorts of shapes. You can do like 45-degree angles on there. Just a wide variety of cutters to make. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this one cut then. We always start on the end first, okay? So that's where we're going to start. If you're really nice, they feel. So I think we're good. On that piece, now we have to do a small change when we're going to set up the router for the corbels. So let's go through the changes. We're doing sharp corners, okay, or just where it comes to a 90-degree corner, and then flat surfaces. Whenever you have a contour, you have to, you can use the Britain this way, the guard, but what you have to do is you got to push this back until you can get to the back of that contour, okay? So what I'm looking for is the distance between this bearing and the fence. It has to be more than the difference of this contour. So if you were to put a straight line edge across there, see it's not a straight edge anymore, and you got to get in there. So I'm trying to make sure that I got enough there, and I would say there's a 1/4 inch space there, which is more than adequate. You only really need a 1/16 to an 1/8, but you know, it'll work. And then I'll go like this and put the guard back on, and then I should be rocking and rolling. There are times when guards are just almost more dangerous than they're worth, but this is not one of those applications. As long as we're able to get in there and feel where the router bit is, because you don't want to roll over this edge. You actually want to point the corner at the center of the bearing and then bring it around and then start making your cuts. And this takes all the visibility away, which I really don't like. So it's whether to use the guard or not. I think in this case I'll try it. I'll try it, and if I can make it work, then we're in good shape. I tried it to work just fine, but what I did was, say this, my finger is the bearing. So I started here, and I came off the edge, straight off. So instead of pointing it in like this, right into the corner, I came to the surface and I just came off the edge, and I came back onto the surface and just did the rest of the contour. That's the way I'd like you to do it as well. So we'll just come out, you can feel when it comes off, and you don't want to go into it any further. You come in, and when you feel it in, you just keep going off straight away from it, okay? Don't follow the router bit. I know that's going to be a tendency for some of you, and some of you are going to make a mistake, but I think having the guard on is more important. Otherwise, like I say, to avoid that, I could probably make a different guard that would use a piece of plexiglass. So I might eventually make a plexiglass one. This is just something I fixed up in about 5 minutes back at the shop. So anyway, let's finish cutting them out. You may have noticed I stopped. Well, what happened was there's a little on the plate here. There's a place where it caught. See how it wants to catch there? And so I might have to make an adjustment on, but that's why that happened on the tape. So there's supposed to be adjustment screws on here, so I'll see if I can adjust those screws up a little bit and fix that up. So anyway, that's why that happened. But along with that, because I stopped, I burned a little bit. It's got to run at like 22,000 RPMs for it to cut nice and smooth like this. What happens if you stop too long in a spot, it'll burn. So burns take time to sand out. I don't like to sand. So we're going to try to avoid it on this run the best we can. So, all right, let's try it again here. Okay, so all of our pieces are now routed. We've got a little burn on that one too, so like I say, I'll make a little adjustment on this and it should be better for you guys. And then, so I'm going to sand next, and that's, it'll probably take me as long to sand as it does the rest of the job, but a good sanding job really shows up and improves the quality of your piece of furniture or your shelf or whatever you might be building. So I'm going to spend some time sanding. Alright, now we're going to start sanding. I'm going to let you guys use the palm sanders for the majority of the big flat work. And then we'll use the our sanding blocks for the edges and stuff like that. Just a slower, better way to sand those. So anyway, usually you just kind of go like this across the surface. When you get all the way across, you go like that. So I'll just show you how to do it on the one. I'll show you a little bit of edge sanding with the sanding block, some contour sanding by hand, with just a piece of sandpaper, and then we'll be assembling it. So anyway, that's how you do it. So you wait until it spins down and stops, then you set it down. Never set it down while it's running. It could fall off the table. Somebody tries to grab for it, they can cut themselves. So when you're done with the sander, you gotta wait for it to spin down, then you set it down, okay? That's the first thing. Second thing is, now we're gonna work on edge sanding. These sanding blocks are just perfect for this kind of thing. So it's got a bunch of kerf marks, and I don't think you can see them even if you got up close, but kerf marks are just a circular saw marks where it's passing through the stock. Okay, so what you want to do is you just take your sanding block, get on the edge, and go the whole distance. And those kerf marks just totally disappeared. And with the soft basswood, it doesn't take a whole lot of time to cross to get it good. It should feel velvety smooth, and you shouldn't be able to see any defects. Just on the side, because that's where you're going to see. That's still away. Really good saw blades, you don't get as much kerf marks. These aren't bad, but the blade we're using is fine, but it's not probably the best quality blade. The best quality blades are usually very heavy. Okay. Now I'm going to do this the opposite hand of what I like. Normally I'd work over here because I'm right-handed, but you want to roll the corner. If you can't see, I'm opposite-handed here, so this is going to look awkward, but this is the way you do this. See how I'm rolling it all the way over the corner like this? It keeps that corner nice and uniform. Okay, and that's what you want. And it comes out nice and smooth. You'll have kerf marks on the end, so you do the same thing. The other way to do it is rub where the sand, like in a circle. And that gets rid of a lot of the scratch lines from the abrasive itself. But, so that kind of gives you a flavor of how to do that. And again, you want to get rid of all the kerf marks on the end. That looks pretty good. So anyway, I'm going to keep doing that. Oh, and I'll show you how to do one more thing before I just pause the camera here. We're going to sand this contour thing by hand. That contour. I just got to find some sandpaper, and I'll be right back with you here. I always have a little pile of sandpaper. Usually it's used sandpaper from the sanding blocks and stuff. It's still got a lot of use on it, especially on the ends where it comes up around the corner here. But anyway, I like to use my tummy, and I'll just start sanding the contour. And all the black burn marks and everything like that just to go away. You want those to be sanded off completely. And the more of the surface, if you can go across the whole surface like this, it saves time and gives you a very uniform looking piece. So what I'm doing is I go across like this, and I'll tilt my hand. And you probably can't see that, but I just keep tilting it all the way up, and I keep doing that all the way across until it's like you run into the end of the shelf, and you run to the other end of the shelf. And I just keep doing that until the contour is nicely sanded. And what that means is it should feel velvety smooth. When you feel it, it should just feel super smooth and nice. There shouldn't be any roughness at all. Like this side is very rough. This side is just perfect now. I'd say that's really nice. It's all the burn marks are gone. And still going to do a little flat sanding on this, but you know, like this little edge here, I'd probably just do that by hand. But another way to do like a longer one, like this, is I would put it on the edge of the table. Again, I'm on the wrong hand, so you gotta forgive me. I feel like I'm a fish out of water here a bit, but you try to do the whole thing at one time. Well, using your sanding block on a long surface like this. Alright, the first thing you always do is you dry fit everything before you assemble to make sure everything looks right. So here I'll do it in the opposite direction so that you can see. So those go like that on each end. So we have a pretty good idea that looks good. That looks real nice. And this, remember the slot goes up so it can carry a plate. And I think we had a 1-inch overhang on each side. Just do a quick check on that to make sure it's real close to 1 inch. That looks good there. That looks like 1 inch. And it's just a tweak on there, but that's so close that it's not worth messing with. That's fine. So anyway, it looks real good. Let's go ahead and put Humpty Dumpty together here. So we'll just start at one end. Use just a dab of glue. Okay, we don't want to get no crazy with this glue, and it's real easy to do. This one's got a plugged up tip. I'm going to have to grab the screw quick here. Plugs are very common. It just coagulates at the tip of the glue bottle. And you just what I usually do is I just take a screw and put it into the tip and then pull the plug out so now it's open. And then with the screw, you just clean it off by unscrewing the glue out of the thread. Or you can actually drive it into a piece of scrap material or something. So anyway, go ahead and we'll just do this end here. See how much glue I got on there? It's about a 16-inch bead. Okay, I'm going to try and talk over the pressure. So anyway, just a little bit of glue. In this corner here, we're going to put that up and raise this down. Go like that, and raise the edge. And you flush it up at the top. If anything, you want this to be overflush with this, just a little tiny bit. Just in, and you need to flush that over. Drive the screw in. Try to screw the nail in. The other thing is with nails, they're flatter on one side than on the other, and if you can keep the nail going with the grain, it's easier to putty it shut. So now that's nailed in. Let's just set the nailer off to the side for the moment. And do the same thing at this end, a little tiny bead of glue. So, alright, I'll show it to you. See, it's just a little bead of glue. That's all you need. Glue joints are actually substantially stronger than the wood itself, so you want to keep that in mind when you're doing this too. You don't need as much glue on it as you might think, but you got to have enough too. So I'm going to just put that on. And 2 nails. You want to have the nails so they're about a 1/2 inch in. And the nails should seat themselves with a good nailer. Ooh, that got a little low. In fact, it came out the back. Well, Don warned me about that. Yeah, that one really took it. See, there's the nail. So then in that case, we gotta take it out. Bummer. I gotta spin that. Actually, I'm gonna put another nail in to hold it in place. If at first you do not succeed, try again, they say. So just, there, that one worked just fine. So when you nail, it's nice to get it so it doesn't happen like that for sure. Now I got an extra hole to putty, and it's definitely not the thing of choice, but I'm just going to pull the nail all the way through using a plier. And I made a big old hole in the back, but again, it's on the back, so it doesn't matter as much. It's just not what I wanted. But if everything was perfect, you'd never learn anything. So I don't know how the best approach is to so you can see the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a little light bead of glue across the top. Kind of like the one before, just a real light bead. I'll show you here in a second. You do not need a lot of glue for a shelf. Alright, I'll show you. Again, it's about a 1/16 bead. Very, very light bead of glue. It's about as light as you can get with these bottles. Actually, at home in my shop, I have glue bottles that I've trimmed to different sizes. So if I'm gluing and get a great big bead of glue, I have Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. So what I've done is, we're going to actually use a square when we do this, so it'll line up for you really good. But you see how it's sitting flat on the table? That all looks really good right now. So I'll put a couple of nails into that. See, again, we want to go with the grain, so the best way to do that is to have the nailer vertical. Actually, you know, let's just get the nails in. There's that. I'll come to the other end and do the same thing. Nailing into the corbel first. What I'm doing is I'm lining up down, so here to, like, I'm lining, when I'm looking straight down, I'm eyeballing down that, and I'm putting the nailer right in the center of it, so it looks like this. Okay? So it'd be like right here. Alright? So that's what I'm doing, is I'm eyeballing the nailer so it comes right down the center of the board, and I make sure I'm down far enough. And I put the nail in. Look good. Now across the back I'm going to do the same thing, so I'll have like maybe 3 nails along the back, and that'll be more than strong enough. We want to make sure that this is all nice and flush. Just slightly out of flush. I just pushed this letter C down a little bit to make it flush with the top. So I'm going to put one about in the center. Sometimes that happens, it means you're out of nails. So let's just see. Well, I got nails left. I don't know why I did that. I got a little extra nail that just popped out there. Okay, so you can see where we got our nails here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 2 on each end, like that, right here. So we gotta have a little putty for that. And so we'll put the putty on, let the putty dry, and then we'll sand it flat again, and then we'll be ready to paint or stain it. So there's where my nail blew out from the back side here. It makes a big ugly hole. But it's just the way life is sometimes. But anyway, that is how to build a shelf up to this point. We'll get it puttied and finished, and we'll be in good shape. So